Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and it's the second video of the day. It's Fairy Tail, as you know, Mondays. It's Fairy Tail on 7 Deadly Sins Day. I will also be doing a video on Red Spirit with the idea of doing Promised Neverland. Eventually getting to an actual review tomorrow, time permitting. So bear with us for that, and hopefully we will do something and get something out and have a discussion. But anyway, this chapter, interesting chapter, setup chapter, thinking chapter, revelations, truth chapter, but it also gives us more questions. Does it create plot holes? I'll hopefully discuss that in this chapter review. It won't be a 5-point review, it will be a discussion, but hopefully cover the main points of this chapter. Let's get into it. So, point number 1, or part number 1, you could say this chapter has 3 segments. We have this segment with what's going on in the real world. We have a segment that what's going on in Natsu's mind, and then we have a segment about a battle with Rakhied. So we'll do it in segments, not really a review, but I'll just go all in. Anyway, the whole kind of what's happening in the real world non-battle segment is interesting because it does a few different things. Number 1, we get confirmation that basically Grain and Juvia are fine, or will be fine to a certain degree. Their wounds have been made small or smaller by Brandish, who's helped out, and basically because of Wendy's help, they're going to be fine, which is cool. Now, there are other elements of this segment which is interesting. We get kind of Marie's or Di Maria Chrono-Yesta's input in regards to the whole demon situation. There's disbelief. Lucy will not believe that he's a bad guy because of everything they've gone through, which is good. There's little jokes in there about her loving him, and we all know that's going to happen. We'll not get into shipping contests just yet. Now, what's also interesting is the fact they kind of cover the ability or this power that Natsu has, because even Brandish could now not make it smaller. So because it's gone to the extent where it's manifested, it's gone beyond her scope of power. So that was interesting. And then we have a nice little segue, which the flames turn into steam, and his body is called Natsu's. So there's a metamorphosis or some type of transformation going on. What I believe with this will potentially happen is, as Natsu learns the truth, there'll be potentially more control of the ability, or he may just completely disregard it and never want to use it. But I think part of the process or his journey is about understanding what he really is, rather than what he thought he was. And that distance or that difference between those two kind of goals is ultimately a growing period where he's going to learn more about his past, whether he believes it or not. But by understanding himself or his past, he'll be able to move forward and do something productive in the future. So that's quite an interesting segment. That's what we're going to get into next. What's going on inside Natsu's mind, his body. So a few different things. He meets up with Zeref, and Zeref is like, oh, I'm in your mind, basically you can't touch me here. And that basically, I think that's that creator to createe link, because Zeref effectively created him. They shared some experience in the past as brothers. There's that link deep within Natsu that Natsu doesn't realize he has, and that's why he can see him and he's manifested himself. What I liked about this was a few different things. Now, first of all, as readers, me and you, we know based on the memoirs of Zeref the relation that he has with Natsu. He's told Natsu in real life their relationship, and the fact that if he dies as well. But sometimes you get told this and you don't believe it. So actually seeing it is that vindication or that confirmation really of what really happened. What I found interesting was we actually got to see the parents, and Zeref takes after Mama and Natsu takes after Papa. I just found that interesting, the blonde and the black hair and all that kind of thing, or the pinkish reddish type of hair. So I found that interesting. What this is also interesting is potentially it may explain how Rakhied was born, in the sense of how has he produced him, maybe as a DNA experiment thing, because he did in fact bring Natsu back to life. He really talks about that here. I think that's foreshadowed to how Rakhied came to be, and that's probably why the whole love thing isn't there, because Zeref didn't have that biological love in the sense of a brother or family member. He sees him as more of a tool or a weapon, and that's probably why Rakhied doesn't like Natsu very much. We'll get to that later on. Anyway, so we start kind of delving more into memories. Now, we see Natsu and Gajeel have always been rivals and always basically they like each other. They create a mess, they destroy things, and they don't get on always. They've always been rivals. And then we see Wendy always trying to sort it out, being her nature as it is now. And we see Sting and Ray being smaller and looking up to him like older brothers. Now the question is asked, why is their memory not with them? Why can't they remember anything that happened prior to that? And the answer that we've been given is the process the dragons went into them. Now it's important to bear in mind 5 children were brought from the past. These 5 children. The other dragon slayers are from the current timeline, and that's why there's a difference. They're first generation dragon slayers, and that's why there isn't a real first generation dragon slayer in the current timeline. People can argue Cobra, but is he really that of that level? Not really. He's slightly different. So it's important to bear that in mind. Now, you've got to understand as well ages. So when Natsu and Gajeel were fighting, they were, if you think about ages, probably around the kind of age we saw Sting in the flashback when he was brought to this time. So around about the time where he met his what's his character called? Not Frosh, the other fellow, the one with the waistcoat, that cat. So I'm guessing they were at that age, so that's why there's an age difference. So I guess there's Chibi, there's very small Chibi, and there's the normal form. So that's kind of showing you age differences, and that's why there's that element there. It's also important to bear in mind is they specifically said that they look up to him like brothers. Now that's important because that memory, although they couldn't remember it, had an effect on how they behave now. So what I mean by that is, it explains why he wanted to defeat him, but at the same time, part of him looked up to Natsu. Same thing with Rogue and Gajeel. It just, because of something that happened in the past, that kind of carried on into the future without them realizing, without them having those memories. It's kind of like having a fondness for someone without knowing why. That's kind of what they were doing. But it kind of explained it in a roundabout way, and it took ages to find out. So I think that's why there's some bizarreness and some sticking points in previous chapters which people do not like, and that's part of the parcel of this memory situation. Will they ever remember? We don't know, but Natsu is finding out. Now the second point to this with the actual flashback or in the memories is Zeref disappears. Is this the real memory of Sting? I think this is more to do with the ability to tell the story and for Natsu to actually believe it. Because if you think about it, if Natsu's get told by Zeref, regardless of him being actually brothers, because he doesn't hold that emotion and sentiment towards him, he will not necessarily believe what he says. So the fact that using like Sting to be this platform or to be this vehicle of understanding, you find it more believable from Natsu's point of view that he's going to believe Sting rather than Zeref. So I guess that's why his situation is there, and Sting's like, oh, come with me, I'm going to show you the real you or part of you. So that I found was cool. Now, speaking of Sting, he returns in this chapter, and I really hope that this is the chapter, or these are the chapters that is at least a little bit redeemed. So what I mean by that is he gets help to deal with the situation with, the respawns of Bradman and such people, and Wal, I guess. So the fact that he's able to go from there and actually really play a part, even though it's just the beginning of it, I enjoyed. He kind of did a He-Man run in there and he jump in and he goes, yes, I'm here, sorry I'm late, and he do this action man / Bollywoodish style type of thing, but it was funny. It wasn't like, yeah, he's here. It was, oh my god, is that how you enter the building? Is that how you enter the fray? It was funny to me. It was kind of ironic, I guess, from a certain point of view. So he gets involved, and we find out he does the Natsu thing. Is that like a thing now? Is that like, oh, we've seen Natsu can do it. If Natsu can do it, I can do it. Where he eats the ability of light. The funny thing about this for me is I completely forgot about his attribute. When I thought about who's going to defeat Rakhied or who's going to cause him problems, I had forgotten about Sting's ability as a Dragon Slayer. So the fact that they showed this now, and we see that, I thought brilliant. I completely forgot about that. I was surprised by it. Bravo, thank you very much, hero. So that was cool. This sets up the battle, but he did a little bit of a no. He pissed Rakhied off. Now, he hasn't really shown it, but he had that face on. Essentially, he said like a taboo thing to him was, You smell familiar. You smell like my friend Natsu. So because he hates Natsu, he's gonna wanna rip Sting a new one. I'm hoping with the name of the next chapter, Hunger Hell, that what's basically gonna happen is Rakhied's gonna go crazy. He's gonna get pissed off. He's gonna be shooting his element at him, and Sting's gonna eat it. This could be a perfect opportunity for Sting to get a power up. You gotta bear in mind throughout the course of the story, Natsu has eaten elements. He's like Aetherius does crystals. He's ate flame of rebuke. He's ate flames from Atlas. He's had like other flames. He had God flame. He's always eating flames. He's had lightning. I think this is a good way for Sting to get a power up. Whether he contains it and maintains it is a different story. I don't think he's gonna win. Will he win? It's very hard to say. Would it be surprising? Yes, because Rakhied is meant to be the next level thing, and it would be weird for them to say, "Oh yeah, the only person that can beat him is his mama." But yeah, Sting beat him as well because they got the same elemental advantage. He's got elemental stuff, so that would be weird. But I think what's gonna happen is we're gonna see more of what Rakhied is capable of. We'll see a potential power up, and maybe Rakhied will get worn down for Mavis if that's his mom to get involved. That's pretty much the chapter. As a discussion, we discussed a lot of different points, my thoughts, my excitements. As always, I'm a fairy tale fan. I will see this to the end. There will be bare people that are not going to be happy with this chapter, but it's part of the puzzle. We know more now than we did last time, and we have answers and more questions that we'll find out next time. So until we find out, let's just see how it goes. Speculate, theories. As always, let me know in the comment section below and in Reddit if anything I mentioned is interesting to you. And I'll see you next time. Please like, comment, share and subscribe as always, and I'll see you. Peace.